So without further ado, I would love to introduce Brett Davis. Brett is a student who has been part of our mentorship program, and he is actually from living currently in British Columbia. How are things out in BC, my friend?
They were doing really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not using Rogers internet, I take it.
No, no, I got good internet. Luckily.
I can't.
What a morning.
Yeah, it's so about here in Canada we have like a duopoly. So there's only really two major telecom companies, and they have these like subsidiary brands that they have, but it's all the same thing. So
Hmm.
I was mentioning earlier, but for those of you that missed it, our internet went down this morning, and I called my mom. She's got the internet from Bell. I called my in-laws; they've got internet from Bell, and then I had to drive to see my brother at his place. So I'm actually located totally out of my home court and had to bring my home court here. But that's the beauty of being geographically free. Like I'm,
Hmm.
it's funny. Like I'm being tested throughout this entire process. I was telling my wife, I said, I must really want this really, really bad, and there must be something so beautiful and powerful on the other side of this mountain that the universe is making me climb. So trying to do this. Like you, with a big smile on my face and love in my heart.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you're able to join us today and your internet
Thank
was
you.
up and running.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor to be here. I mean, it's kind of weird because all the people that have been up here on the broadcast before me are people that I really look up to and people that I've learned a lot from already. So I don't know, it's like I do feel honored to be here to kind of share what my journey has been so far.
Yeah, well, let's get right into it. Let's have you share what you do and how you do it, and perhaps let's also go to where your journey started before working with us and where it is now.
Yeah, I'd like to tell that story because it kind of blows me away, actually. About 15 years ago, I graduated chiropractic school, like 13 years ago, graduated chiropractic school. And the main advice I took away from there for starting my business was fake it till you make it. And it was like '07, '08, '09. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. I need a building. I need tables. I need front desk staff, all the money. And I called up the lender that's like specializes in lending to chiropractors. And they said, yeah, not in this economy. They said, unless you're buying property, there's no way we're giving you any money. Like you have an idea and that's not good enough. And so I went into freak out mode. I buckled down. I saved money. I borrowed from family. I took out credit card debt and I kind of created this facade of what I thought a chiropractic office needed to be. And I started offering, my service. And I really enjoyed the one-on-one with patients, like doing chiropractic, but I really felt like a faker. Like that advice taught me fake it till you make it. Well, I was starting to make it, but I still felt like a faker. And so that led to a lot of years of struggle and trial. And after about 8 years of doing that, I decided I wanted to quit chiropractic. And luckily, I had a friend from British Columbia who went to chiropractic school with me. And we met at Parker Seminars in Vegas. And she was like, how's it going? And I was like, I'm quitting. And she could not believe it because she remembered me from when I was in chiropractic school, how much I loved being a chiropractor, helping people with my head, hands, and heart. And so she was kind of like really sad. And I got to tell her the woes of starting to practice in a recession and then trying to figure out the legal system of American healthcare. And she was like, wow, I don't really have to deal with any of that. I have none of those problems. You should come work with me and just get your head on straight. And so I didn't take that advice. I tried to tough it out for a couple more years and finally got to a breaking point. The offer came back to me to move to British Columbia. And I was like, okay, cool. This is good. I'm going to get the freedom that I want. I'm going to have a chance to like reset and restart. And I moved to British Columbia and kind of got the message that they didn't want me. And the way that I got this message was it took 18 months to get my citizenship, not citizenship, permanent residency and work permit, and then another few months to get my license. And it got to the point where I'd been in Canada for 2 years. and hadn't been able to be a chiropractor. And that was a big deal because what I didn't realize was the problem and the opportunity at the same time. The problem is I was faking it. And in order to become who I needed to be, I had to stop faking it. And so as the universe seems to line things up, mine was, you're not going to be what you were faking for a little while. So for those 2 years, I was pretty devastated because my identity, my fake identity, was ripped away from me, and I had to look at who I was. And that was kind of the start of my healing journey. So immediately prior to that, my wife and I, we put off starting a family to build my career. And so as I was not meeting success, the other problem with that was we were delaying our family longer and longer. And we were living in a house that had mold, and it robbed us of our fertility. And so we didn't realize that this was an issue for quite a number of years. So we had, the panic of having to like change our thought that maybe we won't have a family. And what happened is when we moved to Canada, we changed our environment and we got surrounded with good people. It was kind of like the start of showing me the value of community. And one of them was like, hey, have you ever, it was a naturopath, have you ever lived in a house that had mold? I was like, yeah, the house I was just in had mold. And they were like, oh God, okay, let's get you tested. Let's figure this out. And that started helping me go from what was my worst physical condition. I was about 230 pounds. I'm only 5'9". So I was a morbidly obese chiropractor with all the like financial blocks, with like family not developing, and I was miserable. And at that worst state, I started getting better and better and better. I did a metabolic detox of sort that was heavy duty. I had to use like clay. I had to eat clay as binders so that I could survive the detox. And that was something that made me realize that, well, first of all, it made me realize that sometimes people being overweight, it's just a symptom, right? It's not necessarily like just bad decisions. It's a product of their environment. And then I got to witness firsthand changing environment, both external and internal, changed my health. And about the time that I got my permanent residency and my chiropractic license, I was blessed to have my wife have our son, and he's 2.5 years old now. And I love him so much. Like this morning, I told him I was going to go do some work, and he yelled, "You can do it." And at night, when I tuck him in for bed, he says, "Turn off the lights." Of course, because every time I talk to him, I say, "You can do it." Of course, you bet. And he sends those things back to me. So now I get to like set this little kid on the right path, and I'm bringing my best self. And I had the blessing of receiving. Okay, my dad gave me good advice when I was a kid. He said, you can either learn from your own mistakes or learn from other mistakes, but one way or the other, you're going to learn. And so you might as well learn from other people's mistakes. And so when I get advice, I try to really latch on to it. And one thing that somebody told me was the first like 4 or 5 years of your child's life are really special. Don't miss it. And when I left Idaho for Canada, I thought I was gaining geographic freedom. But what I realized was I went right back into the same thing. I went in it as a different person because trial by fire, I had to stop faking it. But I went right back into a brick and mortar practice, and my freedom started getting stripped away again. And that was a really hard time for me because I realized I was not living in congruency, and I was being pulled away from what had become my goal of being there for the first 5 years of my son's life. And so that, combined with the pandemic, which started just 6 weeks after I had started practicing, So I had a chance to reevaluate again. 10 weeks shut down of like basically no going into public. Oh, and by the way, at that time, I had been using alcohol for a number of years as a way to like help myself feel better about things. And that was part of my weight gain. And I had told myself that I was going to just quit right when I had my son, like seeing him would be the change, right? And it wasn't until like mid lockdown that I realized, oh, well, you're still seeking alcohol, you're still doing the exact same pattern. You should probably change that. So I set a resolution and I cut out alcohol right then. It's been like almost 2 years now. And the confidence I
Congrats.
built, yes, thank you. Confidence I built from that going a year was like, okay, do the next thing in your health, intermittent fasting. And then what else? Oh, yoga every day. And so like all these little steps along the way, my life is improving and improving for those around me. And in spite of like what has literally been the hardest couple years of my life, and I've been through a lot, in spite of all of that, I feel like for the first time that freedom that that I want is actually being created. And I'm doing it systematically. And like I said, I'm doing it with the help of some pretty awesome people. And so I did the virtual program Practice Accelerator, and that blew my mind. And I joined the mentorship at the same time, and that blew my mind. And I have joined pretty much every little class or little breathing exercise or any weekend, anything you guys have offered, because you have been so consistent in over delivering that I just know that every time I show up, I'll get my mind kind of blown. And then the really big win for me is uh, after just like basically 3 months of being in the accelerator, I got my first beta group member like paid for, and like just this morning he sent me an email that he was so excited that he had got his Aura ring sized, and he was getting the manual printed out in spiral bound for his own convenience, and that he had gotten the scale and the tape measure direct ship from Amazon, and that he was just so pumped and ready to like figure out his health. And what was extra cool for me is this guy is literally my avatar.
Mm,
Like I had when we were week 1, 2, whatever, week 3, we're going through setting like your ideal client. This was the person, age group, gender, family status, job, all these things that like, and more importantly, like willingness to change, willingness to take charge. Um, I can't tell you how good that it feels to have this journey culminating like right now with it's like not culminating, it's the beginning of another journey,
right.
but like a journey that I feel more resonates with my path.
I love that. I'm getting goosebumps as you're sharing that. Like how meta, right? That it's happening, like you're witnessing it happening for you. And
Mhm.
you've got a powerful story that a lot of people can relate to. I mean, how many thousands, if not millions of people live in a home that is contaminated with mold and don't even know it, don't even know the symptoms, and don't even
Mhm.
know how this is affecting them, right? You talked
Mhm.
about something else where it's easy for people to pass judgment on somebody by simply looking at them physically, but not knowing the
Yeah.
whole story,
Yeah.
right? And it's also easy for us to assume, or even for them to assume, right? We live in a society that says, hey, if you're overweight, you need to work out more, eat less. And these people go out there and they try that and it doesn't work because there's another layer to what's going on.
Yeah.
You talked about changing locations, right? And how that allows you to kind of sometimes reinvent your identity. It's like going from high school to university. It's a new chance, right, to do things
Mhm.
a little bit different. And of course, the consumption of alcohol, right? Like being able to give that up and continuously kind of peel off these layers of things that were no longer serving you. Your story is super relatable. I think a lot of people have struggled at one point with substance abuse, or they've struggled with an environment that wasn't serving them. They've maybe even struggled with a job that wasn't kind of fulfilling as fulfilling as they'd like it to be. They've Many people struggle these day and age with infertility. I mean, I learned many years ago from James Chestnut that if we studied human beings as a biologist, the human species would be on the endangered species list because of the infertility rates that we're experiencing in
Yeah.
developed countries. So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that are facing the challenges that you're facing, and or have faced and have overcome, more importantly overcome. And so there's lots of different ways that you could attract that ideal person into your business, and it really starts by working on us. And this is like the holy grail secret, is that when we work on ourselves, we attract people who are willing to work on themselves. When we're excited about being healthy and exercising and doing yoga and so on and so forth, we attract other people who are just like that, who are also just as committed as we are. Nobody's going to be more committed to their health than we are committed to our own growth and to our own health and our whole wellness. So congratulations. It's so
Thanks.
exciting to see
Yeah.
this transformation. When you went through the metabolic program, what was the big transformation for you? Was there something that stuck out to you that you'd like to share?
Oh goodness. There's so much. I mean, so well, kind of where my story had left off, I had, my peak weight was about 230, 235. And I had gotten most of that under control with intermittent fasting. And then I plateaued at like about 200, which is still overweight. And I would wake up with pain in my joints. Like, if I'm just being completely honest, my plantar fascia hurt in the morning when I put weight on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd gotten as far as I was going with intermittent fasting. I was trying to add exercise and still getting kind of frustrated. So when I went through the metabolic reset, I had a goal of losing 10 pounds because I still wanted to have some mass to me so I could do some adjustments. I didn't want to get too skinny. But as it went, instead of losing 10 pounds, I lost 20 pounds. I hit 179 as like my kind of like low dip below 180, which was like, that felt good because it'd been like probably 15 years since. It's crazy, man. I'm 39, and like I think back to high school, I was 135, and then I was in the military for a while, 165 pure muscle, and then I was in a mold house, 230 pure misery, and then now I'm like 180, like pure joy and positivity. So I credit a lot of the energetic change from to the metabolic reset and the lifestyle aspect of it too. Like, it helped me dial in so many things.
I love it. And then that's giving you a framework to then create your own program, your own message to attract your own avatar and create similar transformations for others.
Yeah. My patients ask me, what am I doing? How can I do it too?
I love it.
That
I
feels
love
good.
it.
That feels really good.
Well, this is great. I'm so glad that that you were able to share and the internet
Yeah.
worked out.
Yeah, right.
And that it takes a lot of
Technology.
it takes a lot of courage to share what you shared today. So I want to
Yeah.
honor you for your vulnerability, and
Thanks.
there's a lot of love that you're getting in the chat, and so be sure to jump in and receive that. And
Cool,
I only see bigger and brighter things. Since we've met and since we've known each other, you're always so positive and upbeat, and I love that you're seeing results personally and professionally in your life as a result of this process.
Yeah. Yeah. Big thanks to you, man. Like, you're, when I hear your story, I'm just like, wow, like everything in your life led up to me meeting you, and everything led up to my life bringing the best version of me for it. And like, just cool to be on the ride with you, dude.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love you, brother, and
Love you too.
thank you for sharing. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, let's keep rocking. Let's keep changing lives,
Yeah.
starting with
Sounds good.
ourselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down.
All right. So let's share some love for my man Brett in the chat. Thank you, Brett, for taking time out of your day. Hopefully, you've got
Yeah.
an action-packed day, and
Yeah.
lots of love to you, my friend.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
Thank you.